gentlemen, to hear from the leadership of the People's National Party. Tonight, our presentations will allow for proper information dissemination by our legislative and policy power brokers about plans and projects that are geared towards achieving the developmental objectives in line with the current vision to make Jamaica the place to live, work, invest, raise families, and retire. We will begin, with Prime Minister in waiting. I said that. The People's Defender, Mr. Mark Jefferson Golding, President of the People's National Party and leader of the opposition of Jamaica.
Thank you very much, Trish. Colleagues on the platform, candidates, former members of parliament, and MPs in waiting, mayors, Kingston, Manchester, officers of the party, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. It's wonderful to be here, and this is the second we are very concerned about that, and we have come up with some policy proposals which we believe. For example, we know that investment in early childhood development is a critical element in this, and we intend to look at that very carefully to ensure that basic schools are strengthened, and that if necessary, more of them will become infant schools, where the state has a much more critical role in the life of those schools, so that when children are entering the primary school system, there is a better chance that they are ready for the curriculum of primary school. And we know at primary school and secondary school, absenteeism is a big problem. And if you're suffering from learning loss because you're not attending school 5 days a week, that really adds up and creates a deficit in your ability to handle the work and learn what you're supposed to be learning. One of the major causes of absenteeism is the cost to many parents of providing lunch money to their children. And we have said this is unacceptable. A recent UN report published said that Jamaica is suffering from moderate to severe food security at the level of 55% of our people. Of every 100 Jamaicans living in Jamaica, 55 of them are suffering from moderate to severe food insecurity. That means they're not getting the nutrition they need. They're either not eating the necessary number of meals, or what they're eating is not healthy food. So we are going to expand the school feeding program substantially and ensure that every needy child attending primary school or secondary school will get at least one hot, nutritious meal every day. And that is a commitment of the People's National Party. And our intention is to expand that to include breakfast as well, as the economy improves and fiscal space is created. But we are starting with at least one hot, nutritious meal a day. We know that there is another cause of absenteeism, and that is the cost of transportation, especially for rural school children who may have to take bus or taxi, and they don't have a state-subsidized system. Presently, I believe on the path, around 7,500 students benefit from a subsidy on transportation costs. We are going to expand that substantially to 20,000 households will get that benefit for a student every day, and in the form of a weekly subsidy that will go towards reducing the transport costs that they have to bear. And it's going to be a meaningful amount that will substantially cover the cost of going to school and coming back every day of the school week. And we are going to expand that again to the point where we're covering everybody we need to cover as the economy improves. But by starting with 20,000 vis-a-vis what is now on offer, it will be a substantial improvement. We also recognize the importance of tertiary education in terms of offering opportunities for wealth creation for people. And we recognize that in families where they have not had anyone who's attended a tertiary institution, whether it be a university or a college, the chances are that poverty can be handed down from one generation to the next in that scenario. So we have come up with the First in Family program, which is a scholarship that the state parish will have one, and you can address the situation immediately to ensure that life is preserved, the patient is stabilized, and then, if necessary, the patient can then be transported to a hospital for further treatment. And of course, we need to support our medical professionals to encourage them to stay here in Jamaica and not migrate. So we're going to be looking at a variety of ways in which we can support our doctors and our nurses. So these are some of the ideas we have in the healthcare area, and we want to ensure that when our citizens go to a public health facility, there are conditions that meet them, and the way in which they, the experience that they have is one that is not going to undermine. Last 10 years. But the real estate development that has gone on has really been for the benefit of those who are in a position to afford a house that is upwards of the 20s, 30s to 40 million dollars. And many of our people don't have the wherewithal to access houses at those prices. So we estimate that we can, if we're very serious about it and focused, build 50,000 affordable houses over the next 5 years when we're in government. And, you know, we are aware that that would be a significant improvement on what's going on now. The Andrew Holness administration hasn't even built in their period in office 15,000 NHD houses over that period. And so many of our people are priced out of the market. They simply can't afford the 30 million plus dollar houses that the NHD has been building. So how are we going to do this? First of all, we are committed to stopping the annual removal from the NHD of $11.4 billion, which has been going on now for far too long. It started in 2013 as a way that we had to deal with the situation with the IMF at that time. We had committed to doing it so that we could get into an IMF program because it was a very difficult time for Jamaica. The debt of the country was at a much higher level than it is now. Amended the law to extend that period for another 4 years, and they did it again for another 4 years after that. So what it means is that in the last 10 years, over $130 billion has been taken out of the National Housing Trust to help fund the budget. So when they talk about no new taxes, one of the ways in which they do that is by depleting the National Housing Trust of its resources. We are committed to putting an end to that because we see the National Housing Trust, which was a critical innovation in the 1970s of Michael Manley, as a way of dealing with the housing shortage for persons who need assistance to get a house. So we are also intending to create a fund within the National Housing Trust with the additional resources that it will have of $1 billion per year, which will go towards paying the deposit for a first-time home buyer. And we're looking really at targeting younger people for this, up to 35 years old, who have been contributors to the fund for up to 2 years, at least 2 years. They will be eligible, if it's their first home they're buying, to draw down under that fund and get a $500,000 grant to help them cover the deposit, which is a major issue for many first-time buyers. We also have come up with an innovation that we call rent to own. And we are aware that many people who met their money through a little business, a little hustling, or maybe they're working for somebody, but that is not a very well-established business that they're working in. They don't get a pay slip, a formal pay slip, every time they get paid. And they are not, therefore, in a position to prove their income so as to qualify for an HT loan. And we have said, hold on, that affects so many people, we have to have a proper solution for that. And so what we've said is, we will allow persons in that situation to go into possession of the home as a tenant initially, at a level of rental which is equivalent to what the mortgage would be. And if they are able to make, and do make, their monthly payments on a time, for a period of time that we feel is sufficient to show that they can service a loan, and we're thinking of 6 months, at that point we would say they've proved their income without the pay slip. And they can then draw down on the mortgage, become an owner of the property, and move forward on the ownership ladder. We also want to offer persons who are purchasing a home using NHT funding, we want to offer them an opportunity for a 3-month moratorium after they draw down on the mortgage, because we know that currently they have to start making payments right away. But for many people, when they buy a house, they have other expenses and they need a little time, for example, to furnish the house and so on. So we're going to give a 3-month moratorium period before they start to make their payments. And I think this will be much appreciated by anyone who's drawing down a mortgage to buy a house. And very importantly, because of all the money that has been taken out of the NHT over the years, last 10 years in particular, we are going to identify public lands that are suitable for housing, not arable lands, lands that are suitable for housing. And we're going to make them available to the NHT for development. And when those houses are being built and sold, we will not put the value of the land in the price of the house, so that a buyer can just pay for the house at the cost of the building the house without the land value being part of it. And that will provide a significant saving for the purchase of the house, in some instances up to $3 million by our estimate. And right here in Manchester, Senator Floyd Morris has assured me that he's been in touch with our MP and MP candidates, and we know that every constituency in this parish will receive at least 500 of these low-income houses over the next 5 years. MP Michael Phillips has identified some lands where reclaimed bauxite lands that can be used for agriculture and housing developments in Northwest and others and so on. So we're really looking at the specifics now, and we're not waiting to form government before we get this ready. And we have another program, we call it Porsche, which is an acronym for a lot of words. But essentially what the Porsche program is about is focusing on communities that need renewal, whether it be urban communities or rural communities, including informal settlements. And we will be looking at, first of all, completing all the Operation Pride schemes across the country that have been left unattended, and people are living there. We want to complete infrastructure if the infrastructure is incomplete, and complete the titling process so that they can become owners of those lots. And there are many very successful Operation Pride schemes. I visited several of them, and some of those, the houses that have been built there are wonderful, but there are others where there are still infrastructure needs that need to be addressed, and we intend to do that. But we'll also be tearing down zinc fences and building concrete walls and chain link fences, and we'll be improving sidewalks for senior citizens and persons with disabilities. And ladies and gentlemen, another area that I want to touch on quickly relates to values and attitudes and the moral compass of the nation. We have seen such a deterioration in that over the years, and it's manifested in some of these horrible things we hear about almost every day in Jamaica. We hear about students, females going missing and killed. We hear about little girls being raped and murdered. We hear about a nurse being beaten up on the public road in a most disgraceful manner. And we really need to get back to a place where we show each other respect and love. And so I intend to promote a movement that will be led by civil society and the churches and any other well-thinking Jamaicans who believe that this is an important issue, where we're going to be promoting the kind of behaviors and attitudes towards each other that can make us a more loving country, a more caring country, a country where people want to stay and to live. And we believe this is very important, because if we continue down the road that we're on now, we're going to, each of us will be increasingly traumatized by what we come across and hear of the depravities on a daily basis. And all of this requires leadership in public life. And I am committed to strengthening the agencies that are there to root out corruption in the country, the Integrity Commission in particular, which is under attack from this government. We are fully supportive of it. We only ask of them that they operate in a proper and ethical manner themselves, and that they follow due process in how they deal with people. But we intend to fully resource them as they need to be, and give them the necessary legal tools if there are any changes that need to be made to the law. We do not countenance a situation in which leaders of the country are under a cloud when it comes to matters to do with corruption. To my mind, the situation that now exists in Jamaica, where the Prime Minister of the country can't have his integrity declarations certified because there are unanswered questions about how he acquired the wealth that he has, and where that matter is being referred, or has been referred, to the FID, the Financial Investigations Division, which is the financial crimes investigative arm of government, which is being depleted of resources as we speak, no doubt because it suits some of them not to have a robust agency. We are dead against that. We feel that really is a disqualifying factor from anybody seeking to represent people in public life. And Jamaica needs to get to the place where we don't allow that sort of thing to taint our public affairs. And we are committed, and I am committed to leading a government which is above board, where hanky-panky is not tolerated, and where our members of our government understand that they will, if they're slip, them slide, and there will be consequences. All of our shadow spokespersons in the Senate, in the House of Representatives, and those who are not in Parliament have signed the Integrity Commission's Code of Conduct for Leaders. All of us have signed that Leadership Code of Conduct. Not one of the JLP MPs or senators has signed it. Why, I don't know. It embraces the 7 principles of good governance, which are international benchmarks and standards for running affairs of people properly, and yet they haven't signed it. So they're not really on the right path at all. And the country needs to get a new government which is embracing wholesome values and attitudes, which doesn't have this cloud of corruption, nepotism, and cronyism over it, whether it be a drill or whether it be fertilizer, which was given to the country by the Kingdom of Morocco for our farmers who needed the fertilizer. And then cronies and connected persons are selling it to the farmers who are in distress. This kind of thing is disgraceful, and we can't continue like this as a country. So I say to you, the majority of Jamaicans believe that our country is heading in the wrong direction, and we must change course, not with blame or derision, but with vision and will. Let us build a Jamaica that is just, that is prosperous, and united. Our party has taken principled positions on matters to defend the Constitution in the interest of the people of our country, and the courts have ruled over and over again in our favor. And you can rest assured that we will uphold and defend the Constitution, the rights and freedoms of our people, whatever may come, because that is what we're sworn to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is one stop on a national journey, and you will get the chance to share your voice and your vision, and let's build this country together, a Jamaica where everyone matters and no one is left behind. I thank you.